Hello everyone, I hope you guys are doing great wherever you are. Now you're watching us from different places all over the world, so I can say good morning, good afternoon, or just hey. So today I'm so lucky I have two guests here, but before I just welcome them, let me tell you that we are in the month dedicated to women. It's a women's month, so today we'll be talking about that subject. So I'd like to welcome them before I just, get into the topic. So today we have a pastor here. He's Pastor Sifiso. Maybe he can say hi to you guys.
Hello everybody. Hello people.
We are so happy to have you, Pastor.
It is a pleasure indeed. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. We also have here an offer. So her name is Inès Mbesherubusa. We are also lucky to have her. Welcome, Mother.
Thank you. Hello everyone, I'm happy to be here.
We are also pleased to have you here. So today we're talking about the power of men and women. So the topic goes like this. Are men stronger than women? So because it's quite an evidence, we see that, like in Burundi, the constitution shows that we have only 30% of women in the government. However, the statistics show, the scientists show that, on average, 100, the 100 oldest women live several years longer than the 100 oldest men. So we wonder how, in the perception of people, or like in practical, side, men are always our power always, tending to be higher than women. So that's even the very first question. What do you think? Are men stronger than women?
Well, to answer that question, ladies first.
Ladies first, of course.
That's not fair. Well, let me say it's a matter of perspective. It depends on which side you are looking at it, and it also depends on what you call power. Because power is not always that thing we see displayed as a strength or anything. I see power as influence. And actually, I think women are powerful than men. They influence more. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Wow.
I'll let you talk.
I like that. So I can see gonna be hot. I hope Pastor Jeff, speak the same language. Otherwise,
Well, I would take it from what she is saying and really agree. Statistically, around the world, there are different surveys that have been done, and it shows that women generally are stronger on various parts. Like, let's start with this. It is obvious, it's not even an argument, that men are more stronger physically than women. The build, how we are built physically, and the amount of work that we are able to do, stamina, all these kinds of things, we have more than that of a woman. And it's all comes into the design of a male and what he is supposed to do. But then there are areas where a woman, the way that they are brought up, they are much, much stronger than we men can ever be. So sometimes the discussion whether men are stronger than women or women are stronger than men, it's kind of like an unfair comparison. It is an unfair. It's like asking if a camion, a truck, is stronger than a wish.
what is a camion? What is a wish?
Exactly. Is a camion stronger than a sedan? When you look at them, the camion is stronger because it's built like that. You see, I'm just making a general example of all that. So we need to look at other intricate things into the whole thing if we are going to make a fair comparison. I know that history has not favored us in this matter, and it has looked as though men are more stronger because we as men have had an upper hand on everything more than women throughout history. We've been in the forefront of the business world. We've been in the forefront of the employment. We've been in the forefront of politics. Everything. We are the ones who are the beginners of things like that. And women, most of the time, have been suppressed and pushed in the side. In fact, for even women to vote, when we are doing a national election, women in other countries, they had to fight for that. Men have never had to fight to vote, you know. So these things, you see that there is an imbalance that has been historically when you look at the whole thing. But there are a lot of things that we can discover and discuss about this.
You see, you know, you're telling us that women might be, you know, more powerful than men, as, you know, other guests saying. But as you also mentioned, your history has shown that men have been, you know, taking the front place. Even today, that's what we are witnessing. So I would like to know, why does the world depict, you know, the men as far better, or I don't know, better or stronger than women, like? Which maybe is a...
That's a good question. I'll let you go ahead first. I'll let you
Well,
go ahead.
okay. The reason for that can be based on a couple of things. Number one, how things have been done culturally. Like, for example, maybe some of you have heard the saying that the woman's place is in the kitchen and raising children. The man's place is him bringing in the food and, you know, going out there to work so that there is food in the house. That has been the general norm in many cultures of the world. And because of that, men were out there and women were at home. Most of the work out there was done by men. So they would be involved more on things political. They would be more involved in things concerning governance. They would be more involved in things concerning business and whatever that you can imagine that is out there happening. So this is where men would be. And because things evolve, things change. Laws have to be put in place. Decisions have to be made for things to be directed in a particular way. And so men were the ones who were at the forefront. And because of that, they ended up gaining more strength in those areas and holding more in those areas. And it became in the mind of human beings as though traditionally this is how things are supposed to be. Exactly. So women, most of the time, they were marginalized. They were put on the side. And as they were put on the side, they had to discover themselves. They were wondering, is this all we can do? What else can we do as women? And so there were women's rights movements that came up and what, which is why also we even have the whole thing about Women's Day. Is there a Men's Day, International Men's Day? Maybe it's there, but it's not as popular as the International Women's Day. Why is it so popular? Because still to this day, women are suppressed more than the opportunities that are given to men.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll second him on the aspect of the way of doing things. We know that culture is the way of doing things all around the world. And most of the time, you find out that men were put in front. They were the ones going to look for this and that. And women were always behind, cooking, taking care of the household, which probably has brought up that stereotype that women are not as powerful as men. And maybe today the conflicts are arising of the fact that women are not anymore interested into looking to that restrained area, but they would also like to explore horizons, new horizons. And they are now being told they are unable to do that. I believe it's not true, because just like Pastor Sifiso started by saying that when you are comparing things, there are some setups you have to put up. Even scientifically, you cannot compare things without putting them in the same context, the same conditions, and everything. Now, if we were to truly do a good comparison between men and women, we'd probably have to put them in the same conditions, which is what we are now fighting for, same opportunities or equal opportunities. And yeah, this is the way things should evolve probably.
Well, trying to grasp to what you're saying, you just, focusing on the cultural aspect, but you have put aside the biological aspect. For example, we see, that there's a wage gap. Women and men are not paid the same way. Some, companies owner, they say, we find a woman cannot work a whole year. When she gets pregnant, she has to be on leave for quite a given period, which means also you're avoiding. And there are so many examples, like if you go in the military, you not find many women in the army. So why are you just saying only, it's something that has been established by men, whereas we are not even created the same way?
Well, it is true. We are not created in the same way. If we look at the whole thing biologically, the bone structure of a man is different than that of a woman. Certain hormones that are on a man give a man an advantage physically than that it gives to a woman. And we go on and we talk biologically. There are even things that give favor to the woman more than they do for us. Men are creatures that are not generally easy to understand emotion. We are logic creatures. We do not understand emotion. But the way women are wired, with the way women are created, emotion, it flows easy with them, and then it becomes easy for them to even hold conversations and all that, and those kinds of things. And then also, women are not even much more. They are the only creatures that are able to bear children. We can never bring children on the earth. We can only assist in bringing the children, but there is nothing else we can do. Like the whole thing of being pregnant with child and all those things, it's women who are completely able to do that. So now, when you take what you just shared right now, and you take it into the workplace where you see all kinds of things happening, and you have this kind of stereotype where it says women are not as good as men because when they get pregnant, then they have to go off. I would use I'm thinking of a nice word to say, but some things we need to use our brains. Biologically, she's a mother. She needs to have that moment for her to be on maternity leave and take care of her children. It's because sometimes our society is so wired mostly towards one part of the human race, not the whole part of it. Because if we were thinking of the whole picture of the man and the woman, we would make room for the woman to say, okay, when that moment comes that you are pregnant, then there would be a provision for that, and there will be no one complaining. We do not have to go through what women go through. It is unfair for us to complain about things women go through. And I don't think it's women who say that, oh, it's not good women working because they have to go on maternity leave. I'm sure it's men who complain about that. But we are not thinking about them. This is the problem with comparison. Comparison is unfair because you are comparing me to you, which
we are not the same.
We are not the same.
Yeah, true.
You see, we are not the same. So that is where now it becomes more difficult. I think the better way in our society and also in our generation that can be helpful is now to think and say, how can we do this more better to balance the equation for the future, for everyone, to level the playing field, so that we do not even have to have these whole fights of are men, even that question, are men are stronger than women? In what?
Yeah, sure.
You see, so we need to come to a place where we mature and we are in a space where we are able to have the conversation in a balanced form, understanding the woman, understanding the man, and just knowing that in the two, there is no comparison. Now, when you, like for example, now you can compare us according to the roles that are in front of us. For example, if both of us are employees in a company, like say for example here in the studio, we are both journalists. You can compare our work because our work is equal and the expectations are almost the same. You understand? Yeah. But now when you say comparing a man and a woman, well, it becomes difficult.
In the work setup, when you are comparing people,
yeah,
in your stuff, you always have something you like in this one and something you get in this other one. They are not, you don't keep them because they are the same. Actually, diversity brings in some richness.
Exactly.
That we don't have to put aside or stop considering. That's why comparing is bad, but just like what you've come to say, Pastor, let's find the right balance, because each of us has a powerful thing to bring in.
Exactly.
In this matter of life.
Well, yeah, you much right. Though, you know, I'm afraid a little bit of you saying that it's not relevant, bringing this kind of comparison. It has to be there. In my understanding, in my humble understanding, I guess, you know, it's what we are living. We are living.
Yes.
It's what we are, like, you know, everyone, you know, here in even Burundi, like, you find girls have a limited rights, which means, you know, it's something that is there. So we have to talk about it. So as we raise at least the consciousness of people, maybe to find, as you're saying, the right balance. So here comes another question. Between gender equality and gender equity, what is the best way to go?
Oh, okay. Well, can I start?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Well, I'll start by saying that we are not saying that comparison is bad to maybe hide that issue as if it does not exist. The issue is there, but we are actually highlighting the fact that ignoring women is like a person who wants to ignore 50% of his potentiality when he's working on something. If we come, for example, to a matter of organizations, the world has evolved in a sense that at some point, people found themselves tired, like burning out, because they have been taken like automated things, doing work to perform. They have been forgotten as humans. And now, organizations are coming back to the human aspect, to considering the way he is and his comfort, for him to produce more. Now, if you bring in that matter and considering the empathy women display, just like the pastor said, you'll find out that you might need more women than men in organizations.
Yes.
Now, coming back to your question, equality or equity.
Yeah, sure.
We are aiming for equality, and we will at some point have to use equity. Because if I'm going, for example, up country, all right, and I'm saying we should give equal chances to girls to go to school just as much as boys, all right? But I'm not like trying to first change the way they view things, all right? I'm not teaching them, telling them how much it's important for them to let girls go to school. I might find myself talking about something that does not exist. Now, I'll have to use equity, pushing women in front, just like the Women's Day, that is more displayed than probably the Men's Day that might exist. I will have to push them in front and maybe highlight what they are able to do. I will bring in some awards concerning women. I will encourage them to go into sciences to display their abilities, and maybe give an award that is more interesting for women than for men. That's where I'm using equity, because as of today, because they have not been given the same chances, we have somehow to push them up a little bit, maybe to acquire that equality we need. Yeah, that's what I can say.
Okay. Great. What's your take on that, Pastor?
My take on it is that if things were in the right order of how they are supposed to be, we would not even be worried about equality. We would be talking about equity. Because you talk of equality because there is a problem. Somebody is lower and another one is higher. So it's now becomes not just a gender problem, but it becomes a human problem, where one human being is viewed lesser. And there are many reasons that cause this. And I know even in the culture here in Burundi, I've been here for 10 years, and I have heard certain words being used, certain proverbs being used concerning women. And you can tell from those proverbs that this puts the woman low than the man. It's a stereotype that is created in society. And those kinds of stereotypes, they work against the esteem, how a person views themselves. It puts them down in how they think of themselves and all that. And always the advantage is towards the male. It starts in the family. It starts in the words that are being said in society, things that are repeated over and over and over. You hear those kinds of things. Let me give you a perfect example. In Burundi, I have been here, as I say, a decade, 10 years. And in 10 years, I can tell you on this one hand how many women I have seen on motos, driving a moto. Just that, a simple, I'm not saying women should be on motos, but I'm just saying a simple thing like that. And then when I was asking about it, it's embedded in the culture.
Yeah, true.
Where women are discouraged on certain things. And most of the people I've seen on motos, by the way, were foreign women, were not local women. That's another thing. Look at buses, the buses in town. Who drives the buses? Are women unable to drive? They are able. When a mistake happens on the road, somebody causes an accident or drives in a bad way, the first expression is, it's a woman. You see? So there are certain stereotypes that we are building into society. We view the female gender as though they are lesser than the male gender. As long as those imbalances exist, there will never be equality. So now when you are talking about equity, you are talking now about sharing of resources.
Yeah.
That's what we are talking about.
Yeah, sure.
We are sharing resources. You mentioned earlier that women are paid less than men. Why in the world is that? Because there is greater value that women add in the organization as much as men do. And also intellectually. They help organizations in a much more greater way. So why are we doing all these imbalances that are there? It's an unfair system that we have created, which now we need to rethink and then correct and make things better for our young girls in the future, and things will be better.
Wow. Amazing. So how can we make, the ground having the same opportunities to both gender?
Well, I will let the pastor start.
The way that we are going to deal with that, number one, it would have to be through education. You do not fight an idea with aggression. You fight an idea with an idea. We need to change the mindset. We need to teach our young boys who are coming up. Maybe for this generation, our generation, it's hopeless. The situation is like this, but we can prepare ourselves for the next generation. We teach them, we put things in place to show them that they can work together with their sisters equally in the workplace and in any other thing. They are fully capable. Women are as much capable intellectually, even strength-wise. Though it's not as big as that of a man, but still they are able to do those kinds of things. We have seen that happen in so many things. Let me just say like this, as a pastor, there's something that I want to break in. According to the Jewish culture, a testimony of the woman was not supposed to be believed. That was the culture of the Jews. But the biggest news that ever happened was the resurrection of Jesus. Who carried those news?
Women.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you see, God, even Jesus himself, he broke the stereotype. According to the culture then, a woman's testimony was not to be believed, but he broke that thing. So there needs to be somebody who's going to stand and break the system and move in with something new.
Wow, amazing. Okay.
Thank you, Pastor. I also believe we need a mind shift. It's
Yes.
a paradigm shift. We are not fighting with hands or whatsoever. We need people to learn and understand that they are putting aside another part of their potential that they could put to good use and really achieve more. And I would also like maybe to tell women that we need to embrace the way we are. I most of the time like to say the power of a woman resides in the fact that she has that softness that makes a different being of her, and she needs to embrace it. She needs to work with it and not always try to be in, like, to display some kind of strength that is not inner, that does not come from within. There's this kindness, there's this empathy we were blessed with that we should be able to use to advance things. Even when we are not being harsh, or even when we are not kind of fighting, we can reach and achieve many, many things by displaying that those differences we own. Thank you.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much. And as you saying, you just touching a very great word, which is empathy. And I've been following one scientist. He said, you know, that women release more oxytocin. What makes them more generous, more trustworthy, and even like more compassionate than women. And the guy said that women are more complicated. I hope you guys learned something at least. So let me thank my guest today. I'll start by my right side.
Thank you, Patrick. I was happy to be here.
Thank you so much. We're so happy to have you here. And thank you, Pastor.
It's a pleasure. May God bless you.
Yeah, bless you too. We are so delighted to have you, and we are so honored to have our viewers who are always watching us. Stay tuned to BNP TV. See you. Bye.